All right, so this is sort of the second part of our series of animate videos. In this, we are going to take a look at the timeline. So let's go over and create new. And again, we'll just create the standard size. And over here, look at the frame rate. It should say 30. So 30 means 30 frames per second. And let's go take a look at what that means. So let's go to create. And here we have down here the timeline. So in the timeline, it shows you, so each of these rectangles, there's one. So this, if I click on the blue thing, which is called the scrubber, okay, well, I can't click anymore because there's no frame. So each of these rectangles are the frames. So you can see the numbers here. There's 5 here, there's 10 here, 15, 20, 25, 30. So each of these frames are 1/30th of a second, okay? So 30 of these is equals to 1 second. In 1 second, you'll see 30 of these frames go from here to here, right? 30 frames per second, all right? So let's go see what that means. Okay, so in frame 1, so I'm going to click on frame 1. So it matters a lot where you are in. So just like in, we also have layers here, right? So these are also different layers. We can have multiple layers, but right now let's just work with one layer so we're not confused, okay? So in layer 1, we're going to have, we have one keyframe, one frame here, right? So here we go. I'm going to click on T here, and then I'm going to click and drag, and then I'm going to write 1. Okay, so I'm going to bring that over to the center. There you go. So 1 here. So that's 1. And I'm going to make this 1 last for 1 second. So to make it last for 1 second, I'm going to click on this, and where 30 is, I'm going to click on that, right click, and say insert frame. Okay. And on 31, I'm going to click on it. I'm going to right click and say insert keyframe. Okay. So on 31, not on 30, but on 31, make sure you can see where you're at. If you need to look closer, you can click and drag this up here. Then these rectangles become bigger, these squares become bigger. Okay, but I'm okay with the standard view. So over here, that's 31, right here is 30. Okay, so that's 30, that's 31. So everybody do this with me. 30, 31. They're not the same thing. Okay, so meaning if I go to 31, so make sure you're on 31 now, frame 31. Go to your type tool, click and drag, and type in the number 2. Okay, now go to your selection tool and go over to 60, and then right click and insert frame. Okay, so when I go to frame 1, it says 1. If I click anywhere between 1 and 31, all the way to 30, it should also say 1. Okay, so there should be no information from 1 to 30. If something is to change, you should make it a keyframe. Only when there's a keyframe should something change, okay? So only when there's a keyframe should something change. If you want this to change to the number 3, you have to go to 61, right click, and insert keyframe. Now on 61, you can change that to 3. Okay, so I go to 90 and right click and insert frame. Okay, so now it will last for each of these numbers. 1, let's go from here, 1. So I'm clicking and dragging this scrubber. 1 will last for 30. So if you're wondering how am I moving this blue thing, I am clicking on it, on the blue part here, I'm clicking on it and dragging it. Okay, I'm dragging it back and forth. So between 1 and 30, it's number 1. And now between 31 and 60 is number 2. This is all the same thing. If I change anything to this at all, so if I change the color of it, if I only go to 30 and change the color of it to green, it's changed for between 31 to 60. Okay? And then 3, this is the same thing that you're seeing for this whole second. And remember, 1 second is 30 frames. Can you make something shorter than 30 frames? Yes, you can. For example, if you were to make something for only 15 frames, then it would just be for half a second, right? So 30 frames is 1 second. If you make it only last for 15 frames, then it would only be half a second. So now let's go take a look at what this looks like. So I can go over here to play. So 1, 2, 3. That's what it looks like. And animate usually loops. So if you were to export this as a video, it would go 1, 2, 3, and then back to 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. It would loop. So 1, that's 30, 60, 3. Okay, let's try that again. So 1 all the way to 31, 2, 3. Okay, so I hope that makes sense to you. So what I would like you to do with your exercise 2 is that I would like you to create your name. Write your name with the type tool. So let's go and create a new one. File new. And create. So here we go. So I'm going to write my name. I don't like that color, so I'm going to use a different color. There we go, and I'm going to use a different font. There we go. Okay, and then on 30, so it will last until 30. So in 30, I'll insert frame, and then insert keyframe on 32. So I'm going to enter my middle name, which is Wint. Not a lot of people know that. And then on 60, I'm going to enter another key, on 60, I'm going to enter another frame. Okay, so it will last from 30 to 60 is my middle name, and then after that, enter keyframe, and this would be my last name. Okay, so you can do the same to yours. If your name is longer, you can add more frames to yours. Okay, so here I have now insert frame. So now when I go view it, play, it goes yin, went, found. And there you have it. So next I'm going to show you something to do with layers. So okay, so this is very plain. I want to have some kind of fancy things behind it, but I should not have it on the same layer. This layer should, I'm going to double click in it and just call it text or name. Okay, I should create a new layer, and I want this layer to be behind my name. I want it to be like a background, so I'll call this BG. Okay, this would be a background, and I'm just going to draw, you know, some pretty things behind it, or maybe I'll draw with a pen tool. There we go. I use a different color, and you can really draw anything you like too. Or you know what? I'm not going to use a pen tool. I'm going to use a brush tool. So I'm going to use a bigger brush, and I don't think I like that color actually. So I'm gonna use. Oh, that color's okay. There we go. So if it's off the stage, that's okay, because it actually won't ever show if something is. So I'm just trying to draw like ocean waves here. So you can do whatever you like. There you go, ocean waves. And even though it doesn't show, I like things kind of somewhat clean, so I'm just going to delete that. And here we go. And there we have it. Nice ocean. Maybe I want to have also some mountains behind it. So I'm just going to call this, instead of BG, I'll call this ocean. And then I'm going to have another layer behind it called mountains. Okay. There we go, mountains. And then I'll go with green. Okay. And then here. Oh, something happened here. Look, I drew it on the last frame because I wasn't looking at where I was in my timeline. So make sure that you are in the first frame, because otherwise there'll be nothing for the first 89 frames, and then on the 90th frame there'll be something. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to click on my 90th frame, I'm going to click on this and go